Welcome to a Toast to the Men Network with SD Booker. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking some time out of your evening to tap into me, tap into what we got going on over here. Uh, this is Tuesday. I'm kind of thrown off a bit because uh, Pheonix said she's running late, but I see she's in the waiting room, so I'm going to bring her on. So once again, it's Pheonix Rising visits SD again on another Tuesday. Again, I thank y'all. Hey, don't forget to hit the like button, to subscribe, to comment, to come into the chat room. And here we go, Pheonix Rising. Hello, how's it going?
Good evening. Well, I'm in, so
All right.
Yeah, my computer crashed twice, so I don't know how this is gonna go. I don't know what's happening.
Okay. We'll see what it does. I got someone on standby just in case you crash. So I got someone waiting.
All right, perfect.
Yes. So we got a special guest, folks. We have Patricia McNielly from Twin Flame Reconnection coming in today. She should be showing up pretty soon here. And we got a lot of topics we're going to discuss, a lot. So it might get controversial, but that's what we do. We want to have the tough discussions. Some things I'm confused on or interested in, as with Pheonix also. We don't have all the answers, but we can get to them if we come together with y'all. We can definitely get the answers. And when I say we don't have all the answers. I was thinking about that the other day, Pheonix. I think we don't have all the answers in our conscious mind.
Right.
But I think we do have the answers in the subconscious mind.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to access them, right?
Right. And so, I mean, that's the plan. That's what we're gonna do. And the first topic is the LGBTQ community. Now, I can't say that I have a relationship with this community. I do have one friend that we reconnected that I've known for years. Uh, actually took her to the 8th grade prom. so, uh, and so she identifies as a lesbian now, and we're good friends. Have a good relationship, a good, healthy relationship. But outside of that, I can't. I don't have any relationships with that community. But uh, there's a lot going on around that community, from within that community and the heterosexual community and the religion community, the religious community, spirituality community. And Patricia, when she comes on, she's gonna help or navigate with us to create some dialogue or find some answers. Because I got a lot of questions when it comes to twin flames, chakras, soulmates, uh, just different things. So we're gonna have an adult and a mature conversation about that, and just really dig in. So we got T King. Well, he says, "What's up, brother and sister? What's going on, T King? Man, thanks for joining us, brother. Thanks for joining us." So while we wait on Patricia, um, I'll give my take on it. Then you can come in, Pheonix. Christine Tarver. Hey, yeah, we're I think Christine and I are IG friends. We follow each other on IG. She says, "I'm always here but never speak." So today I wanted to say hello. Hello, Christine. Thanks for joining us. I do appreciate you.
I'm not sure. I don't have an option to type in the chat.
Go to comments. Do you see comments?
Yeah, but there's no option for me to type.
Let's see.
So I'm not sure what that's all about, but yeah. I think Christine is on mine as well.
Let's see. Okay. Yaya says hello. Hello, Yaya.
Yeah, yeah.
That's weird. You can't comment.
No.
So
The
you
only thing I have an option in the private chat, but not in the main chat for whatever reason.
so at the very bottom of the main chat, you don't see anything
No, there's nothing. Just on the
posted.
private one.
Okay. I don't know. Everybody else can chat.
I know. I know. I know.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Let me check something here. Huh? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, everybody
That's
else
fine.
is chatting.
I'll just send you a message if I need to put something in.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed last week you were sending me messages through the private chat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so last week you couldn't come in either on the
No.
on the main.
Mm-mm.
Hmm. Okay. Uh,
That's okay. We can figure it
yeah,
out sometime.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So, um, with the LGBT community, so like many of us, I was raised in the church. Uh, many, you were raised pretty different, a different religion, Phoenix. But I was raised in the Baptist church, like many, and we were told that homosexuality was wrong. It was a sin. It was what's the word for it they use? Yeah, I can't remember the word that was used, but we were told that. But what was ironic to me, not in my church, but I noticed on TV in different churches and when we would visit churches,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like they had no issue with the choir director being homosexual. It was blatant that he was a homosexual. It was pretty blatant in different choirs when we would travel that the choir director was homosexual and it was not an issue. That always confused me. Um, yeah, it always confused me. But I was as I got older, I really didn't understand it. I didn't want to judge. And when I say judge, I believe in having discernment. But when I say judge, I didn't want to condemn somebody to hell. And
Right.
even if I think it's wrong, there's a lot of things that are wrong. There's a lot of things I do that people consider sin. That's wrong. I smoke cigars. I got one right here. I drink. I don't have a drink on me, but I drink periodically. Um, I've had sex out of wedlock. You know what I'm saying? It's just different things. That are considered sins. And what I consider a sin is waywardness. Anything that gets you off the path of your
Mm-hmm.
mission, of your purpose.
Right. Right. Right.
So that could be anything. Anything that
Mm-hmm.
gets, yeah, right. It could be over or watching television too much.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, right. And for my black or my African American brothers and sisters out there, I'm coming out with a topic actually about this. And I did some research today that African Americans, blacks, whatever you want to call us, uh, we lead we lead the nation in most watched hours of television, but we only make up about 13% of the population.
Mm.
But we watch television the most. Uh, who watches television the least? Asian Americans.
I can
So
see that. Yeah.
so I'm gonna dive into that next this week or next week. I'm really dive into that and open up some eyes. So we got to have those tough conversations if
Mm-hmm.
we want to get better, if we want to grow, if we want to progress. We got to have these tough conversations,
Yeah.
and that's just what it is. So yeah, as I got older, I didn't totally understand it, but I was like, hey, my brother Rob C. Hey, I grew up with Rob. I wouldn't say I grew up with him. He's older than me. Uh, he we were on the same basketball team in the same high school. Rob may be 2 years older than me. Uh, we was on the varsity team together. And let me tell you, man, I told this story before about my experience playing basketball in high school. I didn't play freshman ball. As a freshman, I went to JV, straight to JV. And then sophomore year, I went to varsity. And I felt like there was a lot of hate from upperclassmen. But
Hmm.
Rob Collins, Rob C, was not one of those people. He was not one of those people that was hating on me. This brother always showed me love. Uh, there's always been a mutual respect. And so he was not one of those people. So shout out to Rob for joining us. Thank you, brother. So yeah, I didn't totally understand it, and I still don't totally understand it. People have their different theories. People say they were born to be LGBTQ. Some say it's a choice. Uh, some scientists say that there's a gene, and I read that the female LGBTQ gets this gene from the father, and the male from the mother. I don't know, um, but there's a lot of theories and a lot of open questions out there about the community. And so what I want to know is, when Patricia joins us, what I want to know is it possible for an LGBTQ person to have a twin flame? And no, we're not talking about the LGBTQ person that's flaming. No, that's not what we're talking about. That's a little joke. But no, we're talking about twin flames. Um, the other half of you that you're destined to be. And is it possible for them to have a soulmate? And we're going to talk about the chakras. By popular demand, people have requested that Pheonix I dive into that again, the chakras. Um, I'm a novice at it. Well, I don't know what Phoenix considers her intellect on it, her experience on it, but I'm definitely a novice. But Phoenix is ahead of me on that, and and yeah, we want to see that, because in the chakras you have negative, positive, masculine,
Hmm.
feminine.
Hmm.
So can same sex couples complement each other's chakra? That's a question I want to know. And Rob C said, just want to support your efforts as I see you are making positive deposits. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Yes, sir. I'm trying to do my part, Rob. Um, so I don't have all the answers on that. What I do think though is we gotta love each other. And we may not always agree, but we gotta love each other. And I believe that true love is to perceive yourself in another person, and know that we're all the same. We're all one, just with different perspectives, different experiences, and we're taking back information to the source with our own experiences. Uh, but my brother Soul
Hmm.
says this a lot, that there's there's not a difference between George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. There's not a difference between Jeffrey Dahmer and Martin Luther King, and we can go on whether you consider this person positive and this person negative, or this person atrocious and this person an angel. There's really no different if we're going to say we're all from the source. How can I separate myself from someone I'm not agreeable with, or I don't totally understand? That's whether you're white and black, Hispanic, Asian, gay, heterosexual, um, a benevolent person and a stingy person, whatever that may be. the pastor, the thief. Some people may say that's one and the same, but whatever that may be, you can't separate yourself. If we're a pool of water and we're all droplets, how can I separate myself from that pool? We're
Yeah.
all water. Yeah. Now that's
Yeah.
not saying we have to condone things. That's not saying that.
Well, what I would say is either it's your truth or it's not your truth, and it doesn't mean that it's not somebody else's. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And if something's not your truth, it's not that you're going to be harsh on somebody else if they feel like that is their truth. I mean, yeah, like you said, you don't generally you never condone something that's not your truth,
Right.
no matter what it is. You don't.
Yeah.
I
If
mean,
you can identify with it, you just can't.
yeah, because if you do, you're being false to yourself, are you not?
Exactly. I mean, you're dead on. Yeah. If I don't identify with it, I just don't. And I don't have to condone it. I don't have to condemn it. I hear people like, and this was a touchy conversation last week, and you kind of got perturbed about the interracial thing, but you didn't let me finish my setup, my objective view. You were shaking your head before I could finish my objective view because you're passionate about that, right? I can tell you're passionate about people accepting everybody, the different races. But I have no problem with someone saying they don't agree with interracial relationships or interracial marriage. I have no problem with that. What I will have a problem with that, what I will contest and fight, if they're showing preferential treatment or if they're preventing someone to progress and to
Right.
grow uh, based on that, or to move into a community based on that.
Mm-hmm.
If I have
Yeah.
the qualifications, I should be able to access anything I want to access,
Right.
regardless of my race.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly. And
uh,
it's like we can have an opinion, but our opinion is not somebody else's. Again, it's not our truth. We can't push what our truth is on somebody that is otherwise.
right, right. And if you ever watched All in the Family with Archie Bunker, see, Archie was a bigot, right? He was a bigot. He was a self-proclaimed bigot. He didn't believe in interracial relationships, but black people loved Archie because although he was a bigot, yes, he was funny, but Archie was fair and he had a heart. He wouldn't let injustice go down. He just didn't believe in interracial relationships, but he wouldn't let injustice go down.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was enduring that way. And yeah, so yeah, I have no problem with people thinking or feeling a certain way, but when the actions are just are not fair or some form
Right.
of injustice, that's where I have a problem.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So we have Patricia coming in. She's on standby. She's in the back room. I'm going to bring her on. Here she goes. Hello,
Hi,
Patricia.
thanks
How
for,
are you?
Hey, Patricia. Hi.
I'm good. Thanks
Hello,
for having
Patricia.
me on.
Yes, yes. Thanks for joining us. You are here by way of Pheonix. uh, I hadn't heard of you. I'm going to be honest. I hadn't heard of you. She sent me some of your materials, and I was impressed. And I said, hey,
Thank
you
you.
need to bring her on because we get requests of talking about the chakras, the soulmates, and the twin flames a lot. Like I say, I'm a novice. Phoenix knows more than me about that, and you're the expert from what I see.
Yeah.
So this
Right.
this is this is what you do. So I want to
Just when
welcome
I
you.
think I know stuff, I don't know anything. No, someone told me that recently.
Hey, hey. Well,
Yeah,
Socrates says I know nothing, therefore I know everything. So good,
yeah.
good. Yeah, that's a good thing to live by. But I want to welcome you, Twin Flame Reconnection, and thanks for joining A Toast to the Men Network with SD. Uh, and this segment, Phoenix Rising visits SD. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And thank you, Phoenix. And so tell us a little bit about yourself first and your background, and then we'll get into some other topics and what you got going on this weekend.
Okay, great. Yeah, so a little bit about me. I live in Chicago. I've pretty much lived in Chicago all my life. I'm a mother to a great kid, boy. He's going to be going to college soon, next year. So, we're in one of these transitional phases. But I think for a lot of us, we've all been transitioning for 2, 3 years now. Um, I didn't always do this. I I think that it's been the kind of thing that it started happening actually at a very young age, but like a lot of people, you cannot connect the dots until much later in your life after you've gone through some things. So I've had different jobs that I've been successful at. I was a banker for many years. I was a vice president of a bank, did a lot of mortgages for people, got them their dream house. I also worked in the automotive business. We fixed a lot of wrecks. And, my philosophy is always getting people back on track, getting them where they want to go, getting them their dreams. And this work is no different because the way that I'm seeing it, this is part of the divine plan of getting people into the health and the love that they're really here for. And so I've been doing this for 15 years, but it's been an evolution, and it's very different now than from the way it started. And it literally started for me with Kundalini awakening and just rushes of energy that I went to seek answers for. So a lot of the material in the classes that I've created in my modality is because of the fact that I wished I had something to go by when I first started going through it. And so I decided to create that. When I started looking around for a group, I couldn't find any. I just created my own meetup group. And it would have a good turnout, but it was fairly new topic. I feel it's still somewhat of a fairly new yet ancient topic, really, because there is historical precedence, and there's like a body memory inside a lot of people in terms of things that they experience that sort of nags at their deepest memories of how things once were. Yeah, so it's been very fun for me. I've been very honored. I've spoken to people all over the world through the internet. And like I say, I've created a lot of things that have been very helpful to people.
Wow, wow, that's beautiful. Um, let's get into that. It's ironic that you say Kundalini. I was just looking at a post on Facebook, and I don't know why it just came in my timeline. Someone says, "What's better than an orgasm?" And someone said two orgasms, and then someone said Kundalini awakening. And then you come here and say Kundalini awakening. So let's get into that because I know this these topics scare a lot of people, and people get
Hmm.
scared and fearful because they don't understand.
Sure.
And so, they'll call you crazy or weird. But let's get into that. What is the Kundalini awakening?
Well, Kundalini is actually an ancient Sanskrit word, so it comes from, the culture from ancient India. It's about as far back as I think it can be traced. But Kundalini is the collective energy of Earth's collective. In other words, all of humanity has contributed to this energy, which supports and flows through. And if we're a Star Wars fan, we could say it's the force, the benevolent force that runs through everything, fuels it, keeps things alive, etc. But Kundalini, when it comes to a person's body, there are connection points on our bodies that help us stay connected to the earth, literally sometimes the earth that we've lived upon, and we eat the food it's grown from. And we have that connection, which is why people will feel a deep, almost it is actually a psychic connection to just a patch of land or a country or a geography or something like that, or they'll miss it. But this energy travels through the spine, and our spine does, to an extent, run on electricity. So it's like having electrical current that runs and fuels parts of your body. Now, that's not the only thing that fuels us. The other part is our divine heart, the connection into our heart that fuels us and keeps us alive. Even science doesn't know, why do we stay alive? Why can a heart keep beating when this happens and that happens and that happens? It's actually, well, it's a little more complicated than saying divine love, but it's, it is divine love. You can't say it's not divine love, because it is. So what happens with people when they start ascending is they can experience a Kundalini rush. They can experience more than one rush of energy. So this is their own energy usually rising up, usually from some lower vibrational place. Now, it doesn't mean it's negative. It doesn't mean it's evil or dark. It just means it needs to come back to the body to properly support the individual. Now, when this happens to someone, it's like sending an electrical charge into circuitry that may not be prepared for that. So depending on someone's state of health, their lifestyle, they can actually experience, like they've blown a fuse or something. Something goes offline, something in their body needs healing, or it needs to be addressed something. It can trigger out memories. It can just trigger the person. Kundalini has been used in the past by cults and sort of keep people trapped, where they circulate this energy, and what happens to the individual is it almost literally fries out their circuitry, and they will feel tethered to something. Same thing can happen with overusing drugs or certain medications. It taxes the central nervous system. So what happens on what we would call a spiritual level is this is the first part of bringing someone back into a state of natural balance, where their natural energies are coming back to them and not being overextended into this thing, or overextended in some relationship, or where they may have been harmed or abused. So, yeah. And that's a part of my work.
Wow. So I know this is a question for a lot of people. How do we ascend to that higher vibration? What are some tools or some steps we can do? I know you're probably going to say this cigar can bring me to a lower vibration. I love cigars, though. Do I need to give them up?
Well, here's the thing. Your respiratory system and your heart and some of the other structures in your chest do need to be as healthy as possible, so that the tissues vibrate high, and so without any obstruction. Once in a while, it probably wouldn't hinder you. But if it's overuse, if it's verging into abuse, it can have an effect. It does dampen down people's energies. It does, when it comes to smoke, alcohol, it tends to keep people in a fog. Their perceptions go off. And here's the kicker about being a twin flame: it can affect your other half where they are. Now, that's something that, mind blown, people do not realize. And this is part of the mystery of medical sciences. They will not be able to account, why can a non-smoker suddenly develop a cancer on one particular lung or the other? Why the right side? Why not both sides? Why cancer at all? Or why emphysema or COPD or some other upper respiratory ailment, right?
Right.
This is where also my work comes in very valuable, because I am able to not only detect the other person may run in their family or lifestyle, in terms of, you know, getting a more narrow focus of what is happening there that's affecting this person. How do we unravel that from them, take it off, and get both people healthy? You know, so now to an extent, you know, cigars are made from plants. It's a tobacco leaf. It's been used medicinally for, you know, centuries, into ancient times. You know, it's been traded, it's been valued. It provides an excitement to the tissues here. Here's what is happening though. We are ascending above those levels where certain things could get us high. So this is why some people who are trying to get high with, say, marijuana, for example, all it's doing is making them feel anxious. They can't get that natural high. And it's not because it's ineffective, it's because their own soul has moved them beyond the point where they were down here and needed something to get higher, or needed something to achieve some kind of altered state or higher consciousness. Now it's intended to happen with the brand new light body, which I call the twin flame body. So
Right. Yeah, I'm not into marijuana at all, but I'm not into any drugs. But I'll be honest, I have really thought about, for the last maybe 5 years, of trying mushrooms, because I've heard some things about them that can take you into another world spiritually. And so I have thought about that. I haven't tried it, but I have thought about it. I heard you got to be with the right group. Going to try that, but I haven't tried it though. But that does. I am interested in that, just to tap into that. Right now, my wife and I have a close family member who's dying of cancer. Well, I'm gonna say dying of cancer. I'm sorry. She has cancer. She's suffering from cancer. That's what I meant, suffering. And she's never smoked. She's never drink. I don't say never drink, but maybe once a year, right? Oh, some wine. You know, I wouldn't even call it moderation. I've known other people that would drink, smoke heavily, never get cancer. Now, the last 10 years, I've been looking at this kind of stuff, and I do think an excessive habit of smoking or drinking definitely can affect you. There's no doubt about that. Even over-the-counter drugs, prescription drugs can do that if you're doing them in excess. But I think the main thing with coming down with stuff, particularly cancer, is there's something going on emotionally or mentally or spiritually. I think more than physically. There's something else going on that you haven't dealt with. Because the more I investigate this stuff with people I know and I ask questions, I find out they are holding on to something they haven't forgiven, or they hadn't discussed something they need to discuss. They haven't released something. What is your take on that?
I found that in my experience with working with people, and mind you, I cannot prove this medically or scientifically, simply because there's no control group. People come to me and I'm working with their energies, and all I have are my notes of taking, you know, my observations with it. But I see people's past lives. It comes to me because when I'm in their energy, it's like having a scene open up of what has happened. And sometimes it's what they've participated in. It's sometimes what has happened to them. And it's sometimes what I'll call environmental. Perhaps they were exposed to a toxin, or their past life was in Hiroshima or something like this, or their past life was in a gas chamber in Auschwitz. And I see this as it's happening. Now, when they're coming to me, we're alleviating this deep trauma, because it is trauma. With many people, by the time things get to cancer, it can progress very rapidly. Okay. What supports the deep tissues is actually a dimensional level. So if someone is, and see, there's several factors involved, because it involves changes in lifestyle. It sometimes can involve excising tissues that have gone bad and will never recover. And people don't like to hear that, will I have to have surgery? Well, sometimes you have to get something out. You have to get the poison out. And so it doesn't continue. Can some people do it without that? Yes, there are people who do that. Why does it happen? Because it can seem very arbitrary and random. And the answer I've found, it's in alignment with what you two are feeling and sensing. It's something in their past, but sometimes it's not this past. It's not that they haven't forgiven their neighbor. It's that they may have murdered someone in a past life, and this is a part of their karmic balancing. And this is a challenging thing because many people, when they do reincarnate, have an agreement to do better somehow. We had someone in the family, and he was very beloved. He was beloved by his kids, his family, but also the extended family, but also his work family. He was CEO at a company, and he had a mass in his gut, and it seemed to go into remission. Then it spread, and I was there even saying, well, why this? Everyone loves him. And some answers were coming. How better to be remembered for being loved? How else would you atone for the past lives where there was harm done than to show love to people who in turn loved you back? And I thought, that's pretty deep. I mean, he's still going to pass and everyone will still miss him. But in terms of his soul's journey, maybe he fulfilled his agreement.
Right.
And in some ways, there was nothing anyone could do. Everyone was doing what could be done. And he still went. So, it's like they say, we come in naked, we go out naked. But sometimes how we're going out can be adjusted with, the use of certain energetic modalities, better lifestyles, et cetera, et cetera. So what I teach is the integration of the brand new light body, which bridges our lives. And what it does when it bridges is it's making allowances for broken strands of DNA, gaps and things, even injuries, defects. For example, if someone's kidneys, say, for example, is running at like maybe 80% efficiency, the person can actually experience optimal efficiency simply because they're working with their light body to honestly almost make up the difference. I've known people with injuries. There's a woman that comes to my classes. Her dad is not in my classes, but this is interesting. He had a cancer of the cervical vertebrae here, and it had eaten away the bone. And she sent me photos of a bone scan where the bone was actually growing back, and the man's 84 years old, but he was an athlete all his life. He ate right. He had a lot of factors that were going for him in his favor. That's totally his soul and God doing that for him. I mean, he didn't necessarily participate in something or go, as far as I know, any alternative types of modalities other than being pushed to do some Western medicine, go to the doctor's check, do your treatments, but those treatments do not regrow the bone. That's the person. Yeah.
Wow. That's powerful. Twin flames.
Mm-hmm.
Twin flames, man. Twin flames, Patricia. Twin flames, reconnection. Let's explain twin flames. Pheonix and I did the best we could possibly do last week or the week before, I think. Maybe last week. But what are twin flames?
Okay. So the way that I describe it is that it is the etheric body And the etheric body is connected to two people, and those people have a match through their soul. So it's like this: the soul is not rendered and split in half. That's a common misconcept out there. And for some people, it's maybe a simplistic explanation. Your soul split you in half, you're a man, you're a woman, and now you're going to mush yourselves back together, right? But our soul is not that stupid in some ways, nor is it even necessary. In a lower dimension, we have what I would call not separated bodies, but more like individuated bodies that let us know who we are as an individual, as a person, get the mirror from other people in our soul group and the planet. Like, who are we? How do we look to you? How do you perceive my personality? What do you think of me? You know, what do I think of myself? And we have our own dream body. That's our astral body. We have our own ego. We have our own spirit. Above this, you have connections that are shared with your other half. And so that's the etheric body. You have a heart connection that is shared. You have a body called a causal body, which helps you create, manifest, law of attraction kind of stuff, help you with the physical life living and, you know, pretty much smoothing your life for the things you want and need to have a pleasant life or beyond pleasant. And so you have this separation, but you have a connection with the etheric body. The etheric body is connected on the inside and surrounding a person and above the person. So the twin part, so it's the same etheric body, which is, you could maybe say, is the flame, but the twin part is that it's almost like a cellular mitosis. It has duplicated itself with a half to each person. There is only one other person that can match. Now that's on purpose because there's not supposed to be all kinds of other people's energies. We're at a point where we're ridding ourselves of other people's energies. Other people can be with us, but they cannot be in us. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with that too. So when it comes to twin flame, many times what a person feels is a form of a heart activation and a return of their spirit and ego connection of this etheric body. And it may be that they're feeling it from someone who took their life in another life or harmed them somehow, and they give back and then they run away. And this is frequently thought to be a runner-chaser dynamic. I'm going to go chase you because I felt love when I saw you, therefore it must be you, and the other person doesn't feel a thing. And so it leads to not only misunderstandings, but it has led people into legal trouble, criminal charges for stalking, restraining orders. And I don't recommend it because there, as you can imagine with God, God gives us more than 12 ways to do something. We don't have to physically go after something to attract what really belongs to us. But nor is it passive, like saying, like, oh, set it free like a butterfly. If it comes back and lands on you, it's yours forever. That's still a little too simplistic. It's too passive. It's too, honestly, fluffy. And this journey is definitely not fluffy. It requires someone to be sharp, aware, detecting things, really ramping up their senses and getting good at it again. So, you know, there's a fair amount of discernment that a person does develop over, you know, over some time to tell who's who, what's what, is that person. And it can be tricky, particularly for some people, depending on the culture they're coming from or their background. If someone is encouraged to find a mate or a spouse and, you know, kind of do it without really feeling into it, they can end up with the wrong person. They can even try to make that person the one, and it wouldn't be the person, because our soul knows. Our soul is in us. The etheric body is connected, and it will literally vibrate that person away, literally repel that person, Or sometimes what happens is that person can be felt to be repellent, even though they're not repulsive, if
Right.
that makes sense. Yeah.
That makes sense. So does everyone have a twin flame?
I'm going to say yes, because I feel it is one of the objectives of being born on this planet, and why we're doing it kind of at a basic level, not a base level, not a vulgar level, not a coarse level, not, anything like that's not what I mean. But what I mean is the smallest possible size we can get our molecules, we are connecting down to that level and rising back up again. So now, if this is why we're not doing it in caveman days, we're doing it in times where there's more modern conveniences. It's more conducive to put two people together, give them time to reconnect and enjoy each other and continue ascending. Is everybody? Well, I will. The other reason I'm saying yes is because I feel it holds the answers to so many health issues, so many mental health issues, physical, psychological health issues. Why do bad things happen to good people? That stuff's still going to happen. But when you are at a vibration above it, you tend to observe it and it doesn't really happen to you. So it's preventative in nature, it's safe in nature, it's, coming together with the person you love. Now, does that say that other people cannot meet someone who they can get along with? Sure. A lot of people do meet soulmates, really good people that they have an agreement with or they can get along with. It could be 10 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 15 years. You can't really put a measure on that, but the way people would know is when that relationship feels like it's served its purpose, it's worn out, it's winding down, it's time to say goodbye. And that's at the point that people find it really hard to acknowledge. I did.
Right.
I was married. I literally felt his energy leave, and I said, there goes John. I didn't even know what it meant. But I did know, because deep in my heart, I knew it's time for changes now. What that change was, I really couldn't have told anyone at that point. And it would be another 3.5 years before I really, had all the changes that I felt my soul wanted to make in place, that they were in place there. So, people will hear these words, twin flame, and it's also at a point where you have, two sides of the story. You have the side of like, well, there's running and chasing and there's rejection and I'm going to get hurt and like twin flames aren't meant to be together. Well, that's just a bad soulmate. That's not a true twin flame connection. Or I want the ultimate lover. I want the person that never leaves. I want to have mind-blowing orgasms and knock me right out of my body. And, love and love and love. And yeah, I'll take one of those. So you have a lot going on out there in terms of, what is this really? Like, what is it? So to summarize, maybe I could say this is an ascension. It's the chance to integrate a brand new light body that doesn't hold disease or doesn't hold some of it as easily, doesn't allow us to accumulate negative emotions, making ourselves and everyone else sick, enables us to hold a lot more love that we transmit to other people very seamlessly, and the ability to get out of the body to the true fifth dimension, which that sounds like woo-woo to a lot of people. I know that. Right. And so you have, some things with this associated with this journey where, there's almost like a lot of little checklists out there. Did you feel a connection? Well, what is that connection? It could be a family connection. That guy could have been your brother in 10 of your lives. Of course, you're going to feel familiar. Doesn't mean you should sleep with him. Right. So this is one of the hardest things is really not just going on the surface, but being able to just pause a moment and feel what is happening and what does it feel like? Because this journey is intended to help someone get to know themselves deeper, know their other half deeper, and a lot of it without words, without a conversation, where there's a deep intimacy. Yeah.
Right. Wow. So it is possible that a person's twin flame has not reappeared or reincarnated in the time they're here.
Well, again, I'm going to say this: if one is alive, the other's alive. But
Wow.
let me take this a step further, just to kind of, if we've appeared here on this earth in different lifetimes, and we have died at different times, perhaps, maybe one went off to sea on a voyage and never returned, and the other one grieved and pined and lived like a shell of a person. We never stop loving each other. We love each other beyond death. And that's the hard thing, that people want that, but when they think about, how could I live for 50 years without you next to me? We're almost reversing that, where you're not going to ever be with me ever again. This time in this incarnation, I've embedded myself in you. I'm in you, you're in me. We're going to feel each other no matter where. You're not going to grieve me even I go to the grocery store. And this is something we don't think of this in this kind of scope of eternity of, like, we've been in and out of all these lives, and there have been times we've been with others, and there have been times we've been together. We're taking out, okay, this might sound bad, but we're taking out all of the crud that we don't want from being with others who were not our person, or that being, they're not part of our being, and clearing ourselves so we can clearly be with our other half again easily.
Wow. Yeah. So the other day, I'm gonna let you jump in, Pheonix. I know I'm hogging the time. So the other day, I randomly meet this guy. I just met him. I was outside, and he just sparks up a conversation with me, and he's like, "Man, my mom's dating again." I'm like, okay. He's like, "No, man, my mom's 94 years old and she's dating." Like, whoa. I'm like, okay, so how old is this guy? And he's like, he's 78. So okay, she likes him young. I guess that's young, relatively speaking, right? So uh, he goes and telling me the story. He's like, yeah, she was married to my pops for a while. He said my pops died 30 years ago, and she got with his friend, one of his best friends. And she said, this guy died maybe 5 years ago, and now she's dating this guy. And then he calls her, he teases her, calls her the Black Widow, right? But just teases her. But it's safe to say she hadn't met her twin flame, right?
Are you asking me to read
Yeah, I'm
them?
asking. No, I'm just saying, like, for her to go through these three guys and still be dating in 94, I don't know if she's met her twin flame or reconnected with.
It's not. What it feels more like is a root chakra connection. So if I can explain a root chakra connection.
Yes, please.
What this is sometimes is there's a part of us called the hara that connects us to our tribe, so to speak, and to other people, other soulmates. But there are energetics within this structure that we have that we've built up over lifetimes, and sometimes that's make a baby with someone. Now, obviously, she's probably past her fertile times of her life. Right. But being with someone, inability to be by oneself, or be alone. There are people that attract people, and I'm sure people like that, men and women. They walk down the street and they're like, I can't help it. People look at me, we made eye contact, we're flirting. Like, I got this thing, right?
Right.
And that's hara. Okay. And people will confuse that for something. To the person who has that thing. They'll feel very magnetic. It can sometimes be a defense mechanism. They'll flirt to be having the upper hand on someone or beat them to the punch, so to speak. So they'll do that. And, they're like, next thing I know, I was talking, or honey, I couldn't help it. Like, guys are drawn to me. They're just like,
Right.
they come, they're like moths to a flame. I can't help it if I'm a flame,
Right.
This
Right.
is the hara. And this can happen at any age. And it is, and there's another thing in there, and I'm not going to say, but to an extent, they can be money connections. That is also a root chakra issue. For example, if someone, this is why there are some women who are called gold diggers and some men who are called gigolos. And I have worked with clients of both genders where that's been the case. They would swear this person's the one. They talk to the mind and they talk to the base instincts, okay, which isn't always sex, it's money. It's,
Right.
foundational stuff.
Right.
No good energy whatsoever. And so it's hard for people to break these patterns because where they need to work on it is not just the root. It's not even what's up here in terms of what they think. They've been dazzled and they really cannot discern it. And they will attract another person like that. Should they be a victim again and again? No, not at all. So this is also part of our soul's initiative with this new twin flame body is like, if someone's going to like you, they have to like you for you, not for your money, not for this, not for that, not for their stability, and other things too. They're not going to use you because they're not going to neglect you, because not everyone gets abused. Some people get neglected. There's no affection, there's no interaction, or they're getting a green card out of the deal or something. I'm from Chicago. I see stuff and I feel stuff and I sense it. So no sugarcoating certain things.
No, I like it that way. I prefer it that way. You want to jump in, Pheonix? I got a bunch of other questions too, but go ahead, Pheonix.
No, that's fine. I'm just really enjoying listening to what that this makes sense. It really makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So with the chakras, with the soulmates and the twin flames, right? I started off this conversation or this session talking about the LGBTQ community. There's a lot of opinions, a lot of theories about the community. Is it possible for the same sex to have to be twin flames?
Yes.
Okay. Can you get into that?
Sure. Yeah. So if I were to explain it this way, in our higher form, our light body is very mutable, meaning that we can change ourselves at will without scaring people. I don't want to make this sound like it's shape-shifting or something like that. What it is that if we can, be the blend of, masculine, feminine, we can be masculine, we can be feminine. We have that ability because we're dealing with a different time frame and we're dealing with a different type of body. In these bodies, people incarnate with certain memories, and sometimes they've had a good time in a certain type of body. Like they had a really good time being a woman, life after life. And if they incarnate as a man, they may be inclined to be gay or bisexual because there's a memory there of good femininity, good times as a feminine person, the ability to express in certain ways. And, vice versa for a woman with masculine tendencies. Now, masculine energy doesn't always mean someone is mannish either, or feminine tendencies doesn't always mean someone is, effeminate per se.
Right.
Okay. So this is why I call it a blend. People can be it's a spectrum. Okay. Right. It's a spectrum. And to be clear, there's a distinction to be made between feeling a certain leaning towards a certain sexuality, and people who are intersex where they have an additional chromosome that gives them the physical attributes of both genders. Okay, so for people that are born in a specific gender body, their essence, to their core of their essence, they can feel more inclined to be one or another. Now, even within that, you have people that feel it so strongly that they can't stand the body they're in and they want to start altering their body. And so you have transgender and transsexual. And they cannot be mutable at will as we can in an upper dimension. So, in an upper dimension, conceivably, you could say something like, I really didn't like being born a girl. I should have been a guy. I'm just going to change my mind now and do that. In these bodies, you can't. They're built like tanks in some ways. So the LGBTQ community, what I feel is that as other waves of angelics do incarnate into these bodies, human bodies, they can feel, now, I mean, I'm going to age myself because back in my day, there was like, you're gay, you're bi, or you're straight, now you have non-binary, and you have, there's many, segments of how a person can feel.
Right.
This, I feel, is generally because of their angelic nature. What they're really feeling is not necessarily sexuality. They are feeling their angelic nature in terms of how they feel about themselves. I mean, it would be no different than if you had someone saying, well, I'm blue. I'm always blue. People look at you and go like, well, no, you're not. You have flesh-colored skin. No, but I'm really blue on the inside. Okay, you're blue. If you say you are, we're going to accept that. Okay. But the problem comes in where it becomes very strident. And we're trying to, we're splitting this into so many pieces. It's not really serving anyone properly.
Right.
So
right.
how do we, how do people get together? Here is some part of the impetus of the non-binary, and it's also the impetus between infertility, such as erectile dysfunction in healthy men, infertility function, inability to orgasm in otherwise healthy women. It is the lifting of our sexuality out of procreative sexuality back to sacred sexuality, where it has to be the right person, the right connection, and the right connection of chakras and etheric body, really, to connect so that a person can feel pleasure and achieve orgasm. So for a lot of those people, if you were really to nail them down and say, okay, tell me about the sex you like, they'd be like, nobody's doing it for me. I'm asexual. Asexual does not mean non-sexual, and it can be involuntarily celibate, but it's not the same as, like, in other words, feeling someone. It's like they're the same turn-ons for other people isn't going to be there for them.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned procreation, because that's one of the things I was confused about too, because or I still am. My thought process is, on the base level, coming into this material world, aren't we supposed to procreate? Just on the base level, coming into this material world, I would think we're supposed to procreate, and same sex can't procreate.
They find ways to create. They can't do it with each other, but they go out and find donors and adopt. And so part of my guidance was that, yes, we can procreate. Yes, it should be a choice. Yes, it should be a freely given choice. Should people be wise about it? Yes. Should people be sensible about it? Yes. What the sensibility means is, like, can you can you properly care for what you're creating? Therein lies the accountability factor. So there are people that are not taking accountability for what they're creating. They're having indiscriminate sex and they're not being accountable. Okay.
Right.
And that's everywhere. Okay. It's
Right.
everywhere.
Right.
It's not one group. It's actually a mentality. And that mentality is another reason why some of this is shifting, because it's like sometimes there's no intent to create. There's just, I need stress relief. Or you're part of my chattel, you're my spouse, therefore it is your duty. Well, okay, then what happens after that? If we've now created life, what do
Right.
we do with the lives we have created? Because there's an awful lot of unwanted children in the world. And so what I've also seen with LGBTIQ people, or okay, please forgive
Right.
me if I'm missing a letter in there, but what I have seen is that in some ways it's part of nature's birth control. They're not. They're part of the group that is not procreating. Will they possibly absorb some of the unwanted children? Sure. And for a long time, they weren't given the ability to do that. And then you also have people that will not take someone's unwanted child and want their own child, and they'll go a different route, like in vitro, or they'll find a surrogate parent or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a story the other day where this woman was celebrating. Uh, it had been 10 years since her divorce. She said in the middle of her divorce, in the middle of her marriage, she finally accepted who she is, and now she's gay. But 3 kids were created in this marriage. It caught her then husband off guard, and he didn't know what was going on. So she divorced him, and she's living the gay life like she's always thought she should be living. And that's cool in a sense, but it's a lot of collateral damage. Um, and she was celebrating, and I was thinking, okay, you feel free, but what about this guy? Like, what about this guy? And he's probably on child support, but he was under the notion that he was going to be married forever, probably, and raising his kids with this woman. And so I know people get hurt in this life. We know we collide a lot of times. Um, but do you think it's important that we really start identifying who we are and what we are here to do, um, before we start procreating or getting with people? Because you said something before that Pheonix and I use a lot. You said remember. And I think we have to remember, I'm under the belief that we chose to come back here. And we have to remember why we're here. And we forget because there's so much going on. And we forget why we're here and that we chose to come back. And in the process, a lot of people get hurt. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the very first thing to kind of remember, and maybe I have to remind myself of this, is that I'm a lot more, I don't want this to sound superior, but like I've moved along in my ascension quite a bit. And so my perspective is different on things. I'm able to perceive things in people. A lot of people are dense, and it's not their fault. They cannot detect or pick up things, even about the person closest to them.
Right.
And there are people that blind themselves deliberately to things. And if you really sat that husband down and asked him stuff about his marriage, okay, I know men, and men pride themselves on being intuitive and instinctive. Like they'll be like, I could scan that and I just knew,
Right.
because they're relying on their instincts. How in the dark was he? Because even if she didn't come out and say, listen, I'm going to marry you, but I'm still gay, or I want a girlfriend on the side or something like that, or I have dreams of women, or can we have a threesome sometime, maybe she didn't say any of these things that would tip him off, nothing
Right.
overt, right? But is there a part of her that seems somehow unavailable? Maybe he
Yeah.
overlooked it. Maybe he ignored it. Maybe he thought that's how women are. Or maybe he was taught, women get in moods, they get their periods, just let them be, like they're just
Right.
scared, like as long as she's cooking and cleaning for you, like,
Yeah.
you had a good marriage. She's a good woman, right? But
Right.
see, the bar is being raised here. This is why we're ascending, because those things just aren't good enough for some of us anymore. I was just thinking about that. I was like, I've dated, I've married. Okay. I've kissed people. I've had bad relationships. I had relationships I didn't want to end and they ended. And now I want to merge and get the hell out of here. Get back to some level where all this stuff doesn't keep happening, right?
Right.
But it's not realistic in this moment. But having had the experiences I have had of merging with my twin flame, of having parts of myself just light up where it's like, I didn't know, like my gallbladder could feel like that, when other people are getting theirs taken out, mine's like, woo, 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 having an orgasm,
Right.
things like that. And, I'm like saying, like, my God, if I could just, because I would really like to lay hands on people and confer this. That is not how we're supposed to do this. In order to get higher, people have to participate. And I'm not against laying hands. That does heal people. I myself do a form of energy work, which is my modality, twin flame body modality, to help move and balance people's chakras and energies. They still have to participate. In other words, that desire in the heart has to be there.
Yes.
And it'll come because the human mind is not in charge of it. It'll come in dreams. It'll come like those nagging memories of like, yeah, it'll come in visuals we see or a song we hear and we're just like, I'm feeling so wistful and I'm getting misty and like, what the hell's happening? It's in there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if you're in a rush, so I'm not. I'm not done with you. I don't know if you're in a rush or not, but I definitely want to pause and have you state your event this weekend and how people can
Oh,
contact you. Also.
sure. Well, I have a YouTube channel myself. It's Twin Flames Merge. And I'm in the process of changing some of that too. This weekend, we are having I'm calling it Black Moon on Fire. The reason this is called the Black Moon is that it is the second new moon in a month's period. It hasn't happened since August of 2020. And so the new moon this is very feminine energy. It's very what I would call Empress energy. Like, in other words, paying attention to your empire. What can you change? What can you take action on? So we're doing a 2-day event, which will include a meditation, special meditation, lifting your energies. I open the floor for questions and answers too. And we get real specific because I intuit things with people and make recommendations to them on the spot. And this can be health recommendations, supplements. It can be just an opportunity to talk. It can be an opportunity to just hear and observe. And we do usually have a slide presentation and kind of focus on what the topic is. So it's this weekend, the 30th and the 1st, 9 a.m. Central on Zoom. And yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna type this. What's your YouTube channel again?
Oh, Twin Flames Merge.
I probably need to get a person that dictates over here. All right. Twin Flames Merge.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Wow, looks like maybe I'm having problems typing also, Pheonix. That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, Patricia, can you type in the chat? Are you allowed to type in the comments?
I did type something. There it goes. Yaya did it. I don't know what's going on, but Yaya did it. That's weird. Twin flames merge. Yeah, she typed it. Let's see. There you go.
You can put, if you want, I can put the link to the event if you want.
Yes, please.
Okay. So it's the link is on Eventbrite, and yeah, bring me your questions. Women probably will feel some things going on with their female areas, because this type of energy tends to tug on us down there. So cramps. I know that people are feeling sort of a sense of urgency, like something needs to get done. It can feel a little urgent. That's going along with this energy. That's why I'm calling it like Black Moon on fire. Like you're on fire to do something, but what is it? You know, take care of something. It's going to make you feel like the energy is suddenly conducive to getting something done that maybe has been dilly-dallying for a while. So,
okay.
yeah.
Wow. So I would suspect you help people not only with the twin flames, but also progressing in life, maybe career, emotionally, psychologically. Do you offer personal services, one-on-one services?
Yes, I do one-on-one sessions, both live and in person, and most of it though is on Zoom over distance. And I've helped people with phobias. So to give you an example, I had someone I was working with, couldn't get in the car and drive, and within 5 sessions, which may sound like a long time and some expense, but there are some phobias people cannot overcome with years of therapy. So essentially, we're doing a session a month. Within 5 months, she showed me she got her license. She went to the DMV, got behind the wheel, took the driver's test, got her license. I've helped a lot of people with not just anxiety relief, because there's sort of an epidemic of anxiety and mental health, and they go together because it's ego. It's actually breakdown of ego. So the connections all kind of, they're breaking down at the same time, but to a person experiencing that, they're simply having what feels like mini panic attacks, anxiety, and just like, you know, shortness of breath, and, you know, like their mind is skittering all over the place, like, what, you know, what am I supposed to do? Like, what's happening? And help get rid of that. Balancing of energy, a lot of work with female areas, because that too, left on its own, women tend to kind of decline as we age, and my work tends to lift that so that their light body is actually supporting the sacral area, all the organs in there, and there's other areas too, the thyroid, the liver. So it's like a three-pronged support system actually for the female area.
Okay. Wow.
And so, yeah.
So I don't know if you're in a rush, if you got to go, but we got a lot more topics on. You're more than welcome to stay on,
No.
But
Well, I have a little bit of time.
okay. I want to get your take on something.
Okay.
Pheonix and I, we talk about a wide range of things. I like to spark the conversation of things that may be controversial or taboo, because I believe to heal or to bring enlightenment, you got to have the conversation. You got to communicate. Whether I understand it or like it or dislike it, we got to talk about it to see what we're thinking. And I might be enlightened, or I might stand my ground on something. I don't know, right? But we talk about relationships a lot between men and women. And we talk about race issues. And, you know, it's not, I guess it's ironic that Pheonix is a so-called white and I'm so-called black, and we're doing this together. I think it's a powerful thing. But what is your take on, from a spiritual aspect, um, why there is so much discourse um, between white and black? And it kind of, I know, kind of marginalizes or minimizes the other races, but nobody has the discourse that the blacks and the whites have. I know the
Mhm.
history on a material level,
Right.
but is there something going on spiritually?
Well, where what from what I have seen, what and when I say seen, what I mean is revealed to me by my higher self. Wait, I should probably turn on a light so you can see me better. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so what I have seen is that this really hasn't originated just on Earth. This is actually carryover from other levels of things, including xenophobia, like fear of foreigners, fear of intruders,
Mm,
fear of just others coming into a territory or space. And honestly, what is a little bit of fighting between angelics, different types of angelics.
mm,
So, if you say that to someone, they're like, oh my God, this is really like, do, 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 do,
right,
go join the circus.
right. That's what we're
But
here
this
for.
is, yeah, this is where I've seen it, because I've even asked the question, like, if we're supposed to get along, why have races? Why have, 5 or 6 major races with several, you know, like smaller racial makeups in there, right? Why have some been completely eradicated? Why are there no more Neanderthals walking the earth, right? The answer is the fighting. But the answer isn't because we fight. The answer is it's time to stop fighting. Okay, stop fighting each other. Now, there was something I knew that was coming up a few years ago, and I started feeling it like kind of like an undercurrent of a wave. And this may sound very, very odd to some people, but what I felt was that people who had incarnated as African origin, wherever they were born, whether they're born in the United States, they're African American, African Canadian, African in Africa, or, you know, African Cuban, wherever they are, you're pulling up the rear, but you're also pushing that wave forward of time to stop this. Okay. Now, you may feel some of that, but to someone growing up in a certain area where they've been, trained in fear of, like, don't talk to those people, don't invite them over, don't do this, don't, um, they wouldn't really be able to conceptualize something like that. They would not be able to receive that. Okay.
Yeah.
But what I feel is that there's a strong impetus of almost like the buck stops here. We're stopping it. We're being born. We're going to bring light to this issue, because it's not just about what happened. It's about mentalities. It's about bloodlust. It's about chaos. It's about violence. Like, how are we going to bring order to this, and structure and productivity, instead of lingering in, you know, what really is like stuff from like off planet. Like, we carried this memory, this bad memory here. The Seraphims fought the Ophanum, and then, the Ophanum had to defend this place. Like, who the hell's going to remember that? People will go like, what are you talking about? Book of Revelations? Like, what? What? Who are all those tribes? That's like ancient
Right.
Hebrew stuff, right? Okay, but in some of the planets, like star system of Sirius, very medical, very scientific, very much developed weaponry. Some of that weaponry is remembered. Pallades,
Mm,
which, by the way, you're Palladian, very much more peace loving, and I would say the methodology of going about things has been very, very different than, so it's like two different mindsets.
Let me pause you there. Let me pause you there. Please
Yeah,
keep that thought. You said I'm Palladian?
yes. Well, that's how I feel you. Yes.
Oh, no, I'm not disagreeing. I just want you to expound on it because I know people watching are like wondering what I'm wondering. Okay, can she expound on that?
Sure. The Pleiades is one of the major star system that has had the impetus to repair the things that have happened here on Earth. Because at one time we were fifth dimensional on Earth, and we had the ability to go within our own solar system from place to place. And that broke down, and we are now at the point of getting up again and back to that area. Okay, so the Pleiades as a system has been a very large population, and within that system of close proximity of stars, there's multiple livable planets. Now, not always Earth livable, because what we have on Earth is carbon based, different type of body there, different atmosphere, different vibrational level, different electromagnetics of each planet. We have bodies that are suitable for those environments, not this environment. Right. So, the Palladian contributions here on Earth have been distinctly Earthkeeper cultures. So think of ancient India, the ancient Yucatan, ancient African nations, sort of keeping the faith, so to speak, as it were, with different traditions to keep up the spirits of the people, keep them up, and retain some of the knowledge so that these times can be possible. Use that as a jumping off point for these times.
All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know I'm a natural healer since a kid. I discuss this a lot on my YouTube channel, and think Pheonix and I touched on this too. Just something with me and kids from a young age to protect kids, to heal, to have the conversation. Yeah, I never run from a conversation, no matter how tough it is. So, because I want understanding at the end of the day. So, yeah, that's just part of my makeup. But
to be given a dream, which is a memory of where you're from.
Repeat that again.
Okay, ask your higher self to show you, to give you a dream of where you're from.
I'll do that.
Here's what you do. Go to bed early. Be willing to go through maybe a couple of sleep cycles or dream like levels of sleep in the night. Try to have like nothing distracting around you, like no music playing, everyone's off the internet or TV, kind of giving you some peace and quiet if they can. And you ask and try to maintain your awareness within it. Whatever you dream in the morning, feel it. Like, in other words, feel a name or a place name or something like that, and see what you glean from it.
Right. I'll definitely do that. I'll do that. And now, is this similar to astral plane? Because I do that periodically, but I've never asked that question.
It's similar. Astral planing is more like within just the astral field. In other words, it's a fourth dimensional field slightly above where we are. It has a lot of thought forms in there because it has a lot of miasm from Earth's mental body in there. So, I mean, it can honestly contain like gobbledygook kind of stuff, but this would be a little bit beyond it. It would be being taken to a level where those memories are possible. Now, you may only visit there sometimes. Like sometimes it just feels like a touch and go. You visited, it might be a little while before the next time it happens. But this is also what I teach, is to help people get a depth at their light body so that they're creating experiences and not just sometimes in the past, we waited for these things to happen and they're too random. They're too few and far between. And some people want more of them, or they want them all the time. Hence the drug use. I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that, instead of, tossing out those old connections. Because here's the difference between using stuff. That it's still earth stuff. Earth stuff is not going to take you to a cosmic level. Okay. What earth stuff does is going to tap the limbic system. So it's working within a set of glands that are sort of like your pleasure and pain zones and your memories. Okay. So the limbic system is an ancient system we have, and that too is altering and upgrading. In the meanwhile, it tosses out a lot of garbage. So this is why you have people that they're like, oh, I can walk off a building, and you're going, no, you can't. You really do not have wings. Stop right now. Right. We have to restrain you. Right. And they'll trip out. They will. There's people here in my neighborhood, I won't say the place, but they were doing ceremonies, and the person who was running the ceremony, someone made an attempt at murdering them. Wow. Because of what they were seeing through their limbic system. And so the limbic system, it's a part of us, it's a closed system, but it's an old system for helping us connect with nature, like the natural world, the elemental world, but it also lends itself to things like the fairies and the little people, and different things that if you were an indigenous culture, this is part of the pantheon of everything around you that is to help you. You pick that up, move it to an urban environment with someone who's doing too much of something, and it's like, woo, then they go out or worse, they have a weapon of some kind. It's not good. So it's, if someone's going to do that, definitely do it safe. But I'm still going to go on a limb and say, you have natural connections that are prepared. Like, in other words, there's a preparation in place now to take people beyond a level where they even need that stuff, whatever it is, MDMA or, ayahuasca or ecstasy or special K or any of the stuff that's out there, because it fries the nervous system up in the head around these structures.
All right. Well, hey, that's confirmation. That's a no for the mushrooms then. All right.
Yeah, and I'm trying to slap your hand just to kind of give you the bigger picture. It can be subjective.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, I'm good on it. The second thing I want to ask you, I'll get your take on, is we discuss, like I said, relationships between man and woman. Now, I'm 45. I was raised in the church and taught this traditional relationship between a man and a woman. I've broadened my perspective since then. I don't see it as though the men saw it back who were older than me, who taught me in church or whatever. My perspective has broadened. My understanding has broadened. A lot is talked about the feminine energy, the masculine energy, submissiveness. It's pushed a lot for the woman to be submissive. We get a lot of this from the Bible or the Quran. Ego, insecurity, just different things. What would be your take on things we just need to get rid of from our psyche and reprogram ourselves? And what are some things that we could do to bring us back together in harmony? Now, I know twin flames, we talked about that. And that's very important. But just not even in a romantic relationship, just the woman and man in community getting along in harmony. How can we get back to that?
Well, yeah, this is deep. And yes, there will be peace in the land at some point, right? The main thing is making peace in our own households and having peace and safety and harmony, being good examples for the kids. So when it comes to some of these things, it's, believe it or not always what's taught in this life. There is some past life carryover to an extent, with both genders in terms of how they interact. And what I talk with my people about, especially on the twin flame journey, is healing the relationship with the masculine, healing the relationship with the feminine. Now, because these things will pop up in relationships, and it usually will not be the twin flame, because you're not intended to repeat those corrupted patterns with your true love, but you can have it happen with a soulmate. Some people think it's safe because it's a soulmate, but in all honesty, it's been repeated multiple times. So to give you an example, it could be a dynamic where it's like, I've had people say, the man takes care of the material things. And I've actually had people report this because it was said in the church that they go to, that the man will care for this, or that he has dominion over certain things, right?
Right.
And there's multiple factors within that, because you have, well, what is the man's ability to do this realistically? Is he going to kill himself with work just to be able to do that and satisfy other people in his role as how he is perceived as a man? Is it, does it give them the quality of life to have quality time together? Is it something that is expected as an obligation, or is it coming from, his true nature within his heart to genuinely want to give or something? So, you've got those factors right there. You also have on the female side expectation. Well, he must, because he's the he, and, it's been said and it's been written, and so it shall be, right? And that's
Right.
some of those things just don't cut it in a modern world. It's no longer valid. And just like certain laws are no longer valid, it's like time to change the law on that, because it just doesn't work in modern times,
Right.
So what I recommend to people, this is the number one thing I recommend to people, is commune with your higher self. Learn how to properly commune through your light body, because not only will answers come, but it brings, it softens those hard things that we feel that we should do or have to do or are obligated to do. And it starts to kind of shift it away from the way it might have been to what it can be. Is it perfect? It's not always perfect at first. It's a work in progress. But I tell people, rather than argue, sometimes you might have to agree to disagree. You shouldn't disrespect each other. If you truly cannot get along, start to find a way to exit. And even then, you're asking for God's help on your exit plan. You're not just saying, fine by me. I can't stand your face anyway. That's not serving any purpose, and that adds to the hurt.
Right.
You could see this in this Johnny Depp Amber Heard lawsuit going on publicly.
Yeah.
And people are scratching their heads saying, why couldn't one of them just walk away? They are locked in with it. That is that is exactly the crown and the root, locked horns. And they themselves cannot see it that way because they have no perspective. They're too close to the situation. So
Right.
when people commune with their higher self, they gain distance from this level. It's a little bit different than praying. I don't discourage people from praying. I still encourage people pray, but also do the meditation. The other part of it is get yourself up so that you can allow the answers to work through you.
Yes.
And it's hard to remember those things in the heat of the moment, where you're saying, hang on a minute, I need a pause and I've got to go commune, because I'm going to say the wrong thing. Most people just don't. But I know for sure when I worked with couples, this is something that I emphasize is, commune with your higher self, because if if things are going to smooth out, you're going to have some upstairs help to do it. Now, it's different than turning the other cheek and asking God, where you're saying, you know, please make them talk to me respectfully.
Right.
That really isn't taking it as far as it needs to go, as far up as it needs to go. And it's still, yeah, it's not an easy thing. I think it's not easy to be a man. It's sometimes not easy to be a woman. We have many more opportunities than we've ever had before. And you'd be surprised how many women, you know, quite frankly, you want equality. And then I tell them, go out and get the job you want, do the this you want, do that. And they feel, they don't feel that other part of the initiative.
Right.
You know, and I say, this is why the equality is here. All things being equal, you are equal. Tap into your own spirit, then you'll get where you need to go. And they go, well, I can't. Or what's going to happen? When am I going to do this? Can you tell me this or that? No, because you're creating it. You are a co-creator together with the energy of your other half for your side of your life, and they are doing the same thing on their side of their life as you're converging together.
Wow. If we can ever just come together and accept each other's, well, first off, embrace our true essence, and then accept the other's essence, that's a powerful dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, and this will be my last thing. Yesterday or the day before, maybe yesterday, I made a video about the ego being the man's superpower and his kryptonite, and insecurity, the insecure nature of the woman being her superpower and her kryptonite. And that threw a lot of people off. But and they and automatically, if you say ego, it's a bad thing. People tell men to lose their ego, right? And people tell women don't be so insecure. So on the surface, it could look bad, but I think they have, like I said, a superpower, and they can be your kryptonite also if we don't manage them correctly. But I want to focus on insecurity because a lot of people have questions about that, and you may disagree with me as well, but or have questions. But as I see it, it's a powerful thing and can be a fruitful thing for a woman to have insecurities. I think most women, all women, have insecurities, and I think that's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing if she embraces it and knows the power of them, knows how to pull that positivity out of it. I think it makes her more compassionate. It makes her intuitive because she can feel others. She can detect mannerisms and cues in people. She can feel when something's not right. She can probably feel when you're sick and you don't even know you're sick. You don't even know you have cancer, and she can feel it because she's embraced that inner those insecurities that have made. She's empowered herself to feel the hurt and pain of others. Um, there's a negative side to that if she doesn't embrace and understand the power of it and what she can use it for. There's a negative side to that too. But and like with the ego, the ego is a good thing. It could be a kryptonite. The ego, well, there's planes in the sky because of ego. There's a train because of ego. There's cars because of ego. Our clothes, somebody said, had the audacity to say, I could put these chemicals with this chemical and create this. Now, some people probably died in the process getting started, but we perfected it, right? Eventually, that's ego. Or some guy thinks he can beat a horse running. That's ego. We do that kind of stuff. People also get killed for meaningless reasons because of ego. People get diseases because of ego, and we could go on and on. The hurt ego can bring. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the first one is that when you say insecurity, you're like, in other words, okay, if we just talk about words, that has a certain connotation, but I'm also hearing that what other things in there, like vulnerability,
That's the word.
nurturing,
Yes.
you know, can she express being vulnerable? Can she be soft? Can she be receiving?
Right.
Is she pliable? Okay, we're talking middle of the road here, because if you have someone who has a predatory nature and they see someone like that, they're like, I'm a tiger, that's a rabbit, and I'm going to pounce because now I found the chink in the armor. Okay, now I
I agree.
found the weak spot, right? And I'm
Right.
going to exploit it. All I got to do is get them off balance and bam,
Right.
then their mind. Okay, so this happens sometimes in like a split second of thinking. And that's part of the problem with relationship dynamics, is there's these built up patterns of reactive behaviors that people themselves don't even know what they're doing. And I've seen both men and women have like a whole collection of categories of men and women. There's the man that's the provider, and there's the one that's the wimp, and there's the one that's this, and the one that's the nerd, and the, you know, and
Right.
these do this, and then there's the alpha guys. There's names out there on the internet. Are you an alpha male? Are you a beta male? What do those even mean? But
Right.
this,
Right.
you know, the kids are way beyond us with this. Oh, stop trauma dumping on that girl. You're such a beta male.
Right.
Never heard
Right.
that crap when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, and likewise, you have women, and you know what I call it? The bag of tricks. We're going to pull out everything out of the bag of tricks. We're going to cry. We're going to get angry. We're going to say we're on the rag. We have this. It's everyone else's fault but ours. You know, and on and on and on and on. My father was an alcoholic. My father did this. Like, well, why am I to blame for every man you've ever met? Because of your father, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
what actually is changing here is these are mentalities. Okay, it's no different than saying, you know, all cops are bad. Yeah, there's bad cops, but there's a lot of good cops.
Right.
That's just a mentality to think that that group is bad, or all men are bad. I've regularly said it on my channel. Stop the man bashing. Stop the man bashing. And likewise, you know, is it going to get fixed? Yeah, it's going to get fixed, but more on an individual basis than on a collective basis. And
Okay.
the way that I see it happening is, honestly, this sounds so hokey, but with love. Because when men are in love, they act and behave differently. They let things go easier. They're not looking to find fault as easy. They will be more creative. They're more lyrical. They're more inspired, like that. Not always the woman or even a man is their muse. It's the love. The love is their muse.
Yes.
And the same thing happens with women, just maybe in different ways. But and I have my son, he's 17. He's been a pretty good example of some of these things where I saw him when he was in love. I saw him when he got rejected, and saw him pull himself out of that. And you know, the whole time as a parent, you know, going like, oh, you know, hope he doesn't go into a tailspin over one person, the first crush he ever has, and, you know, start self-destruct mode, you know, which can be fighting or drinking or drugging or something. And he didn't, but he attacked it with his grades and just started doing schoolwork. Not everyone does that. Not everyone uses a negative experience to, you know, bring themselves out of a hole. And I don't really take credit for that. It was on him, you know. Are women insecure? I would say yeah, to an extent. There are a lot of women who are insecure, but it's not innate in women. In other words, it is usually based on what I feel is past life carryover of what have their previous lives been like, and what have they experienced in this life. Now, like, I'm the kind of person, I had to have the brakes put on me because my parents encouraged all of my athletic ability. I played right with the boys. I did stuff. I did stuff on my own I shouldn't have done. That was my
Right.
neighborhood. You know, not real crazy stuff, but you get told don't ride your bike in the street, and there you are riding your bike in the street. Like you're
Right.
breaking the rules here and there. And I've met girls that their parents would never let them pick up a baseball and a bat.
All right.
They're like, you played baseball? And I was like, it was the only thing to do every single day of the summer. And they were like, wow.
Yeah.
And I realized not everyone has, you know, I guess maybe the opportunity that other people have. The other thing too is how you bond with other people. So, you know, this isn't always something really that's taught per se. Like, you know, me as a girl at a certain age, I realized I was in competition with other girls for other boys, you know, like all these girls are competing for the cutest boy in the class, right?
Right.
Except I didn't even know I was in a competition. But they'd still be bitchy to me,
Right.
you know,
Right.
wearing that, like, because I felt like it. Oh, well, don't even get in my way because I'm going to go talk to him. Talk to who? Okay.
Right.
And, you know, this is a part of that root chakra too, where it's like we're going to bond with someone, we're going to make babies with them, we're going to build a life with them, or we must, therefore, you know, that happens. And it's really deep. It's almost primal because it's part of that urge to connect and bond and stay within a group, nurturing group, and create more life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and, you know, men too, you know, if you look at men and, you know, how have men survived when men could literally be at each other's throats and finding, you know, because I have two brothers. I've seen them as they've gotten older. It's hard to make friends. You know, they get looked at, you know.
Right.
My brother talks to a guy at the fitness center, and the guy, it only goes so far because the guy's like, dude, you know, I'm not gay. I got a wife. My brother's like, I got a wife too. We're just talking. I didn't ask you to marry me, right? But it ends like right here. Can't make a friend. And this is a part of, you know, can we feel safe in our vulnerability? Can we feel safe in our desire to make a friend or have just a different relationship that other than a romantic one?
Right.
And I think men have their challenges, and so do women. And I think it's part of the reason that I won't say all men, but a lot of men have female friends, and it's kind of like, you know, maybe a little tender, dry attraction. It's not always sleeping with that friend, but it's like it's easier than trying to have a relationship with another man because there's rivalries and competition, and, you know, maybe there's just a wall there. You know, the person just has a wall. This is a disservice to men, and I think men have found ways to bond with each other through other things like a club or a hobby or a volunteer group or church activities and stuff like that, that normally wouldn't be an opportunity for them. Yeah, so I would say that feeling safe to be yourself and feel vulnerable happens as people. There's a thing that I noticed happens with the people that I talk to, and even with me. And in some ways, I call it true confessions, because I've had people, and you've probably had it happen to you too, because you're a healer, where people tell you something that's really deep and it's personal and it's private, and you just listen. And you get a sense that you don't really have to do anything with this. You're literally bearing witness as an extension of God in that moment.
Right.
And yet it could be something very, well, I'll just say the word private. I've had people confess things that they really wouldn't want me to repeat.
Right.
And I don't. But the other thing that happens is people will begin to, as the result of integrating the light body, what happens is the defenses seem to melt, and yet people can feel heart energy and they feel safe. And they will say things. They'll sometimes tell on themselves. they'll tell what's happening, or they will say how they're really feeling. You know, like,
Right.
I mean, they may say something like, "I'm so lonely." And you can
Right.
stand there and be like, what am I supposed to do with this? And really all you're doing is just hearing them, giving them the safety to fully express. And that's a true speaking their truth, you know,
Right.
really saying what's inside. So,
Right.
you know, this has happened, can happen over any gender, sexuality, age, because little kids have done it. The kid next door this one day, we were talking, and he talked about pain. He talked about the reason he likes football is because he likes it when he gets hit, because he knows when he's in pain, he's feeling alive. And I was like, you're 8 years old. How do you even know this?
Wow.
How do you know about yourself? I didn't say that to him, but I was like,
Yeah.
okay, there's a more mature angelic inside that little 8-year-old body there. And
Definitely.
kids will surprise you, right? I mean, right? You know, Phoenix.
Yes. Yeah.
Out of the mouth of babes, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. You said a lot that I can resonate with. You use the word muse. A lot of people don't use that word muse, but I've created a video. The title is she your muse? And I tell men, you definitely want to connect with the woman that's your muse, that inspires you. Like if she doesn't inspire you to
Mm-hmm.
be great and be your best, and she doesn't even have to say a word. I'm saying just her energy, her presence inspires you to want to be great. You're missing out. Yeah, you're really missing out. But yeah, so yeah, you said a lot. Wow, you got anything, Pheonix?
I'm I'm just listening. This is real interesting. I love it. Thank you, Patricia, for coming on.
Oh,
This has been awesome.
yeah. Thank you for having me. So hopefully this kind of rounded out the picture about what twin flames are, and you know, this part of the journey that people are being awakened for. Um, and yeah, enjoy your journeys, because it works better when you try to find things in there to enjoy, because some of it can be uncomfortable as we let go. It's all not all rainbows and unicorns, as some of the people say in my group. It's not
Right.
it's having to say goodbye to things. It's having to but there is a much more expansive level that replaces the things that we feel we will lose.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, I know we have it in the chat in the comments, but can you state again your event this weekend and how people can follow you and contact you?
Oh, sure. Yeah. My website is twinflamesmerge.com, and this event is we're kind of doing a moon group event, lunar energy, for Saturday and Sunday mornings. I'm in Chicago, so it'll be 9 a.m. Central Time on Zoom. And I've set the tickets to be for donation. There's like a hard ticket price, and there's a donation level of what you may feel you're able to do. And 2 days we will be doing meditation. We have an open floor discussion of questions and answers. I have a presentation for you. I do work with your energy, so there is prep I do usually 2 days prior to and then after, to help things move along for people. And mostly what people notice is they feel very lightened up. Some people have some very profound dreams. At the last one, I had 2 people that said they felt that someone was coming here and just whispering into their lips and kissing them. So I call that the etheric touch. You can feel that you are etherically touched by your twin flame. And mind you, it is the 5th dimensional twin flame that reaches you and touches you. Only can, do not be alarmed about this. It's not an alarming feeling. It feels very loving, very, it feels lover like. It's
Wow.
not only loving, it's not Jesus. It is a lover like touch and caressing feeling. So hope you can join us. And yeah. that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I
We have more
definitely will be
coming up.
joining you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, please follow Patricia. Yes, I'm gonna start following you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart to the top of my higher self. This is
Thank you,
enlightening,
Mr. Booker.
and it's been pretty powerful. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great questions. And I love it when people can get deep on this themselves and have experiences. That's really, it's one thing to talk and like, yeah, hope everyone has some experiences. Thank
Yeah,
you, Mr. Booker. Thank you,
thank you.
Pheonix.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, Pheonix, you came through with the home run.
That was interesting. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
that was interesting. That was good. That was good.
Yeah,
Did you learn anything?
I sure did.
So, do you have a different understanding? We can talk about certain things offline, but just nay or
Yeah.
yay, do you have a different understanding?
No,
No.
it takes me a little time to absorb things. So just give
Okay.
me a.
All right. All right. All right.
I just find it very, very interesting. I'm just thinking and absorbing, and just it just a lot of things made sense. That otherwise, you hear this and that don't make sense really.
Right. Right. Yeah. She. That was interesting. That was good though. That was really good. Uh. Yeah. She's definitely in tune though. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Our last topic actually. We covered a lot. Man. I won't even get into gender equality because we kind of touched on that. I don't
yeah.
think we need to beat that. Um, politically correctness. Yeah, I don't know. You wanna tap in on that?
What is political correctness? I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know what.
well, I think sometimes or a lot of times it hinders us when we want to be politically correct and say uh, the PC thing without being very direct and expressing ourselves. I think we suppress things and then they come out in other ways
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm,
we're not honest. And
mm-hmm.
I was telling Yaya earlier, I was like, you remember the time when you could say fat or somebody was fat and somebody would even say they were fat.
Oh
And
yeah,
it wasn't a big thing,
right.
it wasn't a big thing. But now, that's derogatory. You're shaming them and now you have to say plus size.
Okay.
No, you do. You have to say plus
Oh,
size.
okay. Well, we still say fat, so I guess I'm behind the times.
I, but
Okay.
But I can see the positive of that. But the negative of that, I think, is they've made it sexy. They've made being unhealthy sexy. When you say plus size, and they have these other words besides fat, to where you don't really have to deal with the reality. So, like, let me get in shape. This is not healthy.
Of being
And,
unhealthy, yeah.
right. And so they sugarcoat it and they give code words for it.
You
And it
know,
doesn't challenge
man,
you.
you know what? That's true. A lot of things are sugar coated. I don't care what it is.
Right.
Anything you want to do can be sugar coated nowadays, can't it? It doesn't matter what it
Right.
is.
No matter what it is, yeah, you can't say midget. You can't say midget. You gotta say short people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just like Patricia was saying, how that somebody can blame the way they're acting on 101 different things and get
right.
by with it. But
And get by with it. Yeah, it's acceptable. I as a black man, I know my race, my so-called race, has gone through many changes on how we want to be identified. You know, colored or whether N-word or colored, then Negro, then African American, then black.
hmm
Like I don't like what's that all about? I wonder sometimes what's that all about. Um,
but
yeah,
like she said, it's also going to be you that say the buck stops here. This is enough.
right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
And I
right,
believe it because that's what I see in the work I do. It's finally like no. That's it. No more of this.
Yeah, yeah. It's something, but like we always say, life is a school, and well, you say, we're here to remember why we came back, why we're here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
typically I say life is a school for learning and teaching, and so yeah, we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves, but take it serious also, but not too serious. Um, yeah, this our talks are surely not PC, and so yeah, so I think this is needed. I hope people were enlightened, enjoyed it. I hope they follow Patricia. Uh, yeah, I sense she has a beautiful soul though. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought her on and tapped us into her. Yeah,
Yeah. I've done a couple classes with her, and I'm hoping to do some more this spring. Actual physical, like wild plants and stuff like that.
yeah. Well, anything you want to share? You want to share with the people before we close out?
There's only one thing that I found really interesting that she said, and I was wanting to hear what you felt when she said it. But she mentioned something about, and it would probably go back to the political correctness type thing, but
Mhm.
that that a man is supposed to have a certain role, and he's supposed to provide all the financial nowadays, and she said something about, even if he kills himself working. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see that, and I can see, and I can just imagine
yeah,
the
yeah,
feeling of that, because the expected standard, or the politically correct, if you want to say it that way,
yeah,
standard of living today is way. There's no way that one person can hardly.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Yaya said
it's
it's
like a
main.
bottomless pit.
Yeah, Yaya said it is mainly viewed as mutual respect for the beliefs of others. Ah, I think it's deeper than that. I can. I think it's deeper than that. Like they had this thing where it was called hoe shaming. Like if a woman is a garden tool and you called her out on it, that's shaming, and that's a bad thing. So you can't speak on it. You gotta let her do her thing. You can't speak on it. Uh, yeah, you just can't speak on it. You can't speak on it if she has quite a few baby fathers.
So
You can't speak on it.
my question to that would be, okay, if nobody can speak out on anything, where's ever it all going to end?
Right. I
Because
think we
because they
yeah,
because they say if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything, and that's what we see. Do we
yeah,
not? I mean, don't you just see people just falling for everything and anything because they can't stand for something? Can you stand?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you need to be able to stand for what's your truth within you, and be able to, no, you're not going to shame other people, but you still do need to stand for something, don't you?
Oh, definitely. I think we shouldn't judge. We shouldn't condemn
Yeah.
because we all have faults and go wayward. But we should be able to pull somebody to the side and say, I pull a young man to the side, and I do this, periodically if I, move to do so, and I tell him,
Hmm.
hey, young blood, that's not the play. Young blood, that's not the right play. That's not cool. And they're receptive to it because of my approach, and I think they can
Hmm.
sense, it's coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
Uh, but you definitely can't sit by and just let people go down the wrong path. But don't judge, don't condemn, come in love. And I want somebody, if I'm going the wrong way, pull my coattail. And I've had that. I've had men and have older women pull my coattail and say, "No, no, that's not the way. What are you doing in here? I'm at the wrong place.
Hmm.
What are you doing in here?"
Yeah. Isn't
Right.
that's being your brother's keeper somewhat? I mean,
Exactly. and it came from a place of love, and
Yeah.
I got out of there. You know,
Hmm.
so yeah, we need that. You know,
Right.
but people are so sensitive, so PC. Uh,
Hmm.
the community can't get on you. Uh, you know, no one can say anything to your child in the community anymore. You know, it's just it's a different ball game.
That reminds me of something. In the group I was from, they believed in spanking a child if they were misbehaving, if they got out of hand. I mean, they weren't just harsh with it, but if it got to a certain point, and one it was my cousin's wife, I believe, was in a store, and her child was literally throwing a temper tantrum because they wanted something that she wasn't going to buy, and she finally took him to the restroom and gave him a spanking, and somebody was in there, and they called the cops.
Yeah, yeah,
And when the police came out, you know what she said to him? I found it so interesting. She said to him, um, "Okay," she said, "either you can let me deal with him now, or you can have him when he's 16." And they were just like, they sat
right,
back, and they just walked out. They said, "Okay,
right.
we got you,
Yeah,
ma'am."
because they know. Yeah, we're gonna have to deal with him when he's 16.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, it makes perfect sense, and she's right. Yeah, yeah. Yaya says it's safe for sure. It definitely holds back progress on. Well, this is equity on equity and inclusion, or equality and inclusion. Yeah, I
Mm.
agree. My brother Lone Star is in the building. He said, "Peace, y'all." My brother Orlando, Element One Podcast. Y'all check him out. He said, "Hey, hey, brother SD. Hi, everyone." Yeah, check out Element One Podcast on IG and YouTube. I forgot who powers his podcast. The company. I can't remember. But check him out. Google him. Check him out. Check out Lone Star Music on YouTube and IG. These brothers are part of the Power Circle. Man, we're doing some beautiful things. Proud of them brothers. Of course, check out my co-host, Pheonix Rising. That is spelled correctly. Her handle is spelled correctly. Don't start correcting things.
Yeah, that's spelled. That's my spelling.
That's her spelling.
I flip letters and make all kinds of different things because I just like to.
Yeah. Hey, that's enough said. You don't you don't owe more than that. Enough said. Because I want to and because I like to.
Hmm.
That's enough. Yeah. Anything else?
I'm good. This is a lot of information to think about. That was some good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Conversations are important. We may leave feeling the same way as we came in, or we might be enlightened. And that's okay. But we got to have the conversation. So we'll keep
Hmm.
doing this. I'll see you next Tuesday. I'm sure we'll communicate before then, but I'll see you next Tuesday. Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone, for tuning in. We appreciate you. Man, you could be doing anything right now. You really could. And a lot of you have kids or family, or just you could be watching your favorite show, but you tuned in to me. So I thank you. We thank you. And tune in next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. As always, love, peace.